let's pivot now. Let's pivot to the parks. What does this movie mean for the parks? Because look, it's doing very well. It's getting great reviews. From what I understand, it was like #1 trending on Disney Plus. It's getting a lot of buzz. George, because we're getting that Toontown reimagining, and one of the attractions that's really going to be heavily reimagined is well, I don't know about heavily, but it's getting reimagined, is a Gadget's Go Coaster, which has connections obviously to the show. What do you think? What do you think the ramifications of this movie being a hit is going to be for Toontown? Do you think there's going to be any ramifications? Where do you stand?
I think even if it doesn't have like a complete overall change to have the style of the film, I think it's a good marketing critique between using the platforms of Disney Plus and the parks, because you're promoting something that has been around since the late 80s, early 90s, and you're kind of bringing that to the forefront. But also at the same time, in the park standpoint, you're taking Toontown, which was heavily involved with Mickey and Minnie and Roger Rabbit, and Chip and Dale are part of that world. And of course, with Gadget's Go Coaster. So it would definitely give a new light to refresh the land, where, again, it may not necessarily be the animation style of the film, but it'll bring a different aspect that the kids today can say, oh, I know who Gadget is now. She is from Rescue Rangers of Chip and Dale because we watched it on Disney Plus. Because 9 out of 10 times, anyone who went into Toontown, and you say, let's go on Gadget's Go Coaster, a lot of the kids would say, well, who's Gadget? A lot of kids would say, oh, is that Inspector Gadget? Like they wouldn't even know who, they were talking about. So I think they'll use this as a platform that when Toontown does reopen, I think it will speak to a higher generation, where they may update the ride itself, but I think it's more so just to get the name out of saying who this character is and what franchise she belongs to. And I really do think, because they have like a Central Park type of feel to it, I have a feeling Chip and Dale is going to have a heavy presence in this update. I don't know why, but I think that it's going more beyond Disney Plus than just a reboot or a comeback of a film. But I think that they're going to utilize Chip and Dale heavily in Toontown itself.
Interesting. Now, Mr. Wizard, you mentioned, I think it was before the show, that you had no idea who Gadget was. You thought it was like a robot or something, or
I really thought it was a robot, because you just see a whole bunch of stuff being built on the coaster, and it would really help if Gadget was on the coaster somewhere. That would have been true. That's what you don't see her. So I just thought it was someone just building a whole bunch of things like a robot.
Well, yeah, and that plays to George's point, where Ethan, you're a young guy. You're in your 20s. And it plays to George's point. A lot of young people are not familiar with these characters at all. They have no idea who Gadget is. You didn't know who she was, and this movie might bring a little relevance to that attraction. Or maybe they even go a different route. Maybe it's no longer Gadgets. Maybe it's just more of an overall Rescue Rangers coaster or something.
And that's what I hope.
That's what I hope as well. I think that would be a much better approach to it. It's kind of have an overall Rescue Rangers theme to it. Now, Vash, we did a video on this a couple weeks ago, but you care to reiterate your thoughts on what this means for Toontown?
I think this could have definite repercussions on Toontown. Obviously, it was Gadget's Go Coaster, as we've all kind of astutely pointed out. But the reason why it was Gadget's Go Coaster was because you had Chip and Dale's Treehouse and Chip and Dale's Ball Pit, right? Well, without those, now you have no Chip and Dale presence. So I think it makes logical sense that coaster be converted not just specifically towards Gadget, but a Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers or Chip and Dale type coaster just in general, right? So you can make use of the full cast of characters as part of the Chip and Dale verse, not just Gadget. And I think that would be a good thing. That coaster definitely needs some help in some areas, especially with some of the landscape and so forth. And I think they can incorporate either ideas from this movie or just the Chip and Dale kind of verse in general. But now that we are kind of seeing the integration between tunes and live action or human figures and so forth, kind of reemerging again from Roger Rabbit days and now with Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. I think I got to give it to you, OG. I think it's time now for an actual legitimate ink and paint club. Let's get it in Toontown. You know, you've got that one courtyard, and I think the storage area beyond it for Jolly Trolley was back there, but you've got that one courtyard like to the side of Roger Rabbit that, hey, you could utilize that space and make an ink and paint a type experience out of that. I think very, very easily. You know. That would be really, really cool for Toontown. Not just where the kids go, but where the adults can go as well.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%. Themed bars at Disney are big business. There's no secret to that. And if you had an ink and paint club similar to what you saw in the movie, and you could even have, and I'm talking big budget here, Chapek would be having a cow over what I would be proposing here. But like I would even have like an animatronic octopus behind the bar, like that you see in the movie, holding glasses or something, right? Standing behind the people that are serving you and stuff, bartenders. It would be an incredible atmosphere, and it would add a little bit, like you said, Vash, a little bit of like that adult flavor to the land. I think it's great. I think it's absolutely great.
And I think it would draw in a lot of aspects to, you know, just again, as you mentioned about theming, because there's a quick service restaurant down at Walt Disney World in Tomorrowland. It's called Cosmic Rays Starlight Cafe, and it gets a lot of traffic in there, not because of the food. It's looks just like a kind of generic space type of quick service restaurant, but what gets a lot of attraction in there is the performance of Sunny Eclipse, where he's singing a lot of space songs and everything. So it could be one little aspect that can turn something so ordinary into something extraordinary.
Oh, totally. And in the movie, Eddie Valiant gets a scotch on the rocks, and there's literally rocks in his scotch. And it would be great to have, like, obviously they're not going to put real rocks in your drink, but they can have like maybe plastic rocks they put in there or something, you know, a scotch on the rocks. There's so many clever things you can do with the various cocktails and drinks in Toontown. It would just be such a gold mine. Disney, if anyone from Disney's watching this, do the Ink and Paint Club. You would make a
that would be
100%.
A perfect opportunity to have Jessica Rabbit walking around. Oh, yes.
I'll give you 2 good reasons why I like that idea, Ethan.
Oh, man, where is it? Where's my drop? Here we go.
Yes, folks, we only have high-class stuff on this show.
That's right, you know. Look, listen. I mean, no, you could do some really cool things with projection technology even, right? You know, the animation of various tunes, right? I think when Eddie Valiant walks in there initially, it's Daffy Duck and Donald, you know, having a kind of a what is it, a dueling pianos type kind of thing there. Obviously Daffy Duck, that would be a little bit of an issue, but at least Donald, you know, you can do some performances on there, just like George said with Sunny Eclipse, right? You can have a tune version of that. I mean, we're seeing gangbuster business over there at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge with Oga's Cantina, with a place that was newly invented that features a character very prominent in the theme park mythos, but not necessarily with the general audience, right? If you do an Ink and Paint Club where you're referencing a place that everybody's kind of seen and is familiar with through Roger Rabbit, I think that would do gangbusters business on its own. And they're creatively, when it comes to WDI and what they could do, I think that's ripe for opportunity in terms of theme and integration and so forth.
And I think we all can admit to this fact and agree upon it that Disneyland needs a lot more sit down type of restaurant style areas. And I think that would be, even though that would be more like of a club type thing, but I mean, it could still draw in a lot of people to come in, have a beverage, enjoy the atmosphere, and it can help a lot with the traffic going in and out of Toontown, especially because they're going to get a lot of people going in for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
Yeah.
There's four sit down restaurants in all of Disneyland. There's 4. That's it. I mean, out of a park with how many attractions, with how many people a year, and you're only going to be doing 4 sit-down restaurants? Obviously, Disneyland is ripe for opportunity when it comes to more sit down locations, especially on the far end of the park like that. I think it could be a major win, George. To your point.
In Sector 2, malfunction in Sector 2. All droids will be shut down for reloading of labor programs. Stand by for power disconnect.